today we're going to be talking about compliance in the news. So we're going over 3 different news articles that pertain to the compliance arena in a couple different industries. So veering outside of the healthcare industry, in addition to talking about that as well. So today we're going to start talking about, in the healthcare space, we're going to start talking about a compliance in the news story regarding a HIPAA violation or privacy issue. So in June of 2016, Elite Dental Care out of Dallas, Texas, one of their patients posted a review on Yelp, and they responded to that review with the patient's private health information. So that's including her last name, the services that she received, her treatment plan, her insurance information, and the cost of her services. So like a full account of what happened when she was there. And I mean, you know, that in itself is mind blowing. Like, shocking. You know, Yelp's there to like, how do you like this dentist? Right. Not to talk about medical services. Like, what, as an employer, what can you do to protect yourself from? Because, you know, we'll get into it, but like this provider got in trouble, didn't get away with it. Sure. What do you do to protect yourself from situations like this? Like,
well, you have to have clearly defined policies around social media, especially today. Social media is invaluable, especially to organizations. So it's a necessary evil. But at the same time, you have to have policies for all of your employees and what they share personally on their social media feeds. But most organizations have their own social media feed. So they also have to be very prescriptive on what the employees that are managing those sites do. This is a prime case of something that is obviously way beyond the pale.
Sure.
I mean, it's one thing to kind of put things out there about the organization. It's another to, you know, break laws and put patient information out there. And it appears in this situation, it was almost in a vindictive way. So not only are you risking the compliance aspect of your organization, but it's social media. When things go out there, they get shared, they can go viral, which would be the absolute worst case scenario. It's surprising we didn't hear about this before, you know, we had to find it in the news. Learning about it in the news. So, you know, it's your personal reputation and the organizational reputation that you're risking when you have people putting things out on social media in behest of your organization.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's the key. When you're posting as an employee from an organization's page, you're posting as an organization too. So you got to be very careful. Yep. Darielle, within just all the calls that you get on a daily basis, I'm sure you hear a lot of HIPAA stuff, right?
Yes.
Just of privacy anyway.
Yes, I do receive a lot of, you know, reports about about HIPAA violations, where maybe a provider has disclosed personal information about a patient to a party that should not have access to that information.
And and just on this topic, I know there are systems actually in place that, you know, especially in the healthcare industry, where they have literally systems to kind of red flag people that are getting into files. And because we have to realize this is not just when you put it out there, it's a HIPAA violation if you access and just view those, even if it's just for your own personal curiosity. And there are systems in place, but it's just something that is so top of mind now. You know, stories like this, it's just shocking that it has to kind of
this is the next level.
Absolutely.
This is the next level. And I think when employers think of HIPAA violations, they're thinking of like big, massive data breaches, something that's like a super big security issue, like you guys were talking about with the inappropriate access of information. But it really can be just as individualized as this incident was, where, you know, it was found with just one patient's complaint or case and escalated, and upon investigation found that, well, there's more than one case here, right? And so in 2016, a case was opened by the Office of Civil Rights for investigation, and in 2016, that's when it showed it was several patients in November, and it was done without their permission, those patients' permission, so they never gave their authorization to have their information shared on a public space like that. But the investigation was concluded in 2019, October of 2019, and Elite Dental Associates never really claimed liability. They didn't admit guilt, but they did agree to do a corrective action plan within the organization. pay a $10,000 fine, and kind of get some Loctite policies around HIPAA and privacy practices and stuff like that. So, that just shows why those policies are so important. Outside of just social media, what other types of policies should employers have, healthcare or not, to protect themselves?
Well, I mean, there needs to be policies around a lot of things. I think we'll talk about them in some other topics that we have today. But you have to really do your research up front. You have to understand where your vulnerabilities are. And there are a lot of resources out there to support, people that are kind of in the dark or in a gray area and are concerned about these spaces. We certainly can give them advice at Compliance Line. But you really need to think through really where your vulnerabilities are to determine what policies you need to focus on and put them into place. Make sure they're visible to everyone. Make sure it's in writing. Make sure you're consistent in the application of these policies. Because it is a very vulnerable space for all organizations.
Here at Compliance Line is part of what we do, right? We have some HIPAA lines, don't we, Darielle?
Yes, we do.
How do we handle those calls? Like, are they escalated? Are they special? Tell me about that.
So yes, many of the calls are escalated, depending on which client it is for. We do escalate a lot of calls, depending on how severe it may be. We may need to make a phone notification, just to let someone know, hey, there's a risk that's going on that someone needs to be notified of.
And don't we have some clients that, like, no matter what the incident, just if privacy is brought up, potential privacy violation at all, automatically escalated, right?
Automatically contact their compliance officer as soon as possible.